I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another night of iRacing action here on the National Racing Network, where tonight it will be the Stars and Cars, the USFPRO Championships, coming to you from, quite frankly, one of the world's great road courses, Circuit Zandvoort, located in North Holland in the Netherlands, where Lewis Hamilton holds the track record over the 2.646 miles and 14 corners of a recently reconstructed circuit. My name is Chris Graham. I'm joined in the booth, as always, by Mr. James Watson. And I'll tell you what, James, that we were here last season, and this race was absolutely wild with some of the names we had running up at the front. Different names tonight, but I think we have the potential for a very similar kind of show.
Yeah, I about passed out with how many times I just utterly screamed at the action we were watching. It was dive bombs, side-by-sides, hip checks, doing things at places on the track where you shouldn't think about doing things that should have ended in tears but didn't, ended up in epic highlight reel moments. Yeah, I'm hoping for more of the same. We've still got a lot of talent in this field, so I'm curious to see how they're going to handle it, especially with, no Teddy B and no Carter Lundy from what I see.
Yeah, some of the names that we're accustomed to seeing, not in the show here tonight, but that's going to mean that potentially a different name is going to be at the top of the leaderboard. Right now, it's Sam Carasala carrying the number one, as all 16 cars are on the entry list, and you're seeing that car of Carasala making its way through one of the bank corners. That final corner off onto the straightaway, that will be an absolute key tonight, because that could be a place that we could see a last lap move for the win.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of momentum coming off of the high side that you're going to want to try to use to your advantage. Make sure you can try to time the slips where you can just get whoever you're battling at the line.
Number 2 on the entry list tonight is Ari Korkadilos. Everett Paddock carrying the 3. The law firm, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, the 4, and Mobin Khan carrying the 5. That is a group of names that, quite frankly, I am really interested to see how these guys are going to play out, because it really has the potential to be something borderline crazy that we see out of these guys. A lot of names that haven't been completely up front. They've been podium guys. They've been top 5, top 10s. They're now going to have a shot at the win in a race that very realistically could be a huge impact on somebody's championship hopes.
Yeah, there's 100% points on offer, and if you're a fringe championship competitor like a Sam Carasala, you have to go all out to bring home this win. You need those points. You know, with no Ted, there is a big opening, especially since we don't know how many more races Ted is going to be able to make with his real life racing schedule. So there might be a championship on the line. So we're going to see guys driving as hard as they can trying to get those points.
Sam Carasala.
I tell you,
go ahead.
I was gonna say it's nice to see Moba Khan back. It's he hasn't been able to run as many races as he has been, so it's good to see him back. He's a heck of a competitor and a heck of a driver. I'm excited to see what he can do back here on Thursday nights.
Yeah, unfortunately though, lap number 1 for Mobin does not count. Same is true for Ari Korkadilos, Mike Holler, and Mike Ricekamp. Sam Carasala, your quick timer right now to 1:29.062, will eliminate the 1 minute part from here on out. Second quick is going to be Ari Korkadilos at a 29.238, about a 10th and 3/4 back or so. Quarter of a second back right in that window. Hazelworth and Paddock third and fourth. This track is really kind of interesting from the perspective of how much importance the drivers have to place on the draft and keeping up with the car in front. It's not quite Spa, but I would say it's maybe more akin to Long Beach, where you have a couple of really good drafting sections that you're going to be able to keep the leader in sight purely based on the draft and not necessarily the outright speed of the car.
Honestly, I liken it more to Okayama. You've got some hefty draft areas, but you have a lot of squiggly bits that's going to give you an opportunity to lose the draft, whether you want to or not. So if you can make sure you can nail all of the corners, then you're going to be perfectly fine. You're going to be in that draft and it can help you make moves. But if you make the slightest little mistake and you lose that second, you're not in a good spot. And with all these corners, all these difficult and diverse corners, it's not hard to lose a second plus.
Well, Sam Carasala has put up a huge amount of time on the field as he goes to a 28.546. Second car into the 28s will be Ari Korkadilos at a 26.11 for lap number 2. And it looks like just about, I think everybody has finished their qualification runs. We have not seen the ready to grid pop up yet, but nobody is on the racetrack right now. Everett Paddock not scoring on his second lap, although, well, maybe he's possibly, there he is, pulling back out onto the racetrack. So we'll get the graphics back up here with a minute and 40 seconds remaining on the clock. I don't think Everett will be able to get the lap scored here.
You would be correct.
But he's also the last car that has to set the time. So basically, once he crosses the start-finish line, the qualification session will be concluded. This track, the circuit Zandvoort, has a long and storied history in the Formula One World Championship. What are your thoughts, James, on bringing the American cars over here? I mean, a second week in a row, we're hitting pretty decent-sized splits. So seems like the U.S. Open Wheel C-Class car is starting to make a little bit of a comeback. Is some of that the F1 circuit drivers just finding an F1 circuit to drive? I mean, that wasn't the case last week with Okayama.
I think it's a great thing. That's what I love about this series is the diverseness of the schedule. You know, we don't keep it to just American tracks. It's like, yes, we have a lot of iconic tracks here in the U.S., but nothing wrong with taking it overseas and seeing what these cars do. And a track like Zandvoort, I think, is perfectly set up for these cars because they're a lot less downforce, so you're on edge, and these corners are on edge. So putting them through like the bank turn 3, the final corner, all through the hills. Like, it's just a right blast because of all the different corner types you're having to survive.
Well, we've got a fantastic race coming up here, I think. This one will be 17 laps in length, and it is time now to take a look at your starting grid for the iRacing USFPRO Championship. In the Air Alaska, number 1, it is Sam Karasala with a lap time of 1 minute 28.546 seconds. Only 65 thousandths back out of the Great White North. It is the number 2 of Ari Korkadilos. Row number 2 will have the law firm, Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, lining up inside of that second row. To his outside will be the number 5 of Mobin Khan. Row number 3 tonight, the TNT Racing with Downforce Racing, number 3 of Everett Paddock. To his outside, one of those new Downforce Racing paint schemes, the number 11 of Carl Lemkool. Brian LaBarge in the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory, number 7, lining up inside of that 4th row. And on the outside will be the number 10 of Alexander Martin. Inside of row number 5 will be the Citizens Climate Lobby, number 9 of Mike Holler. Great look at the skyline of the city of Chicago on the side of that machine. And to his outside, the Yellow Submarine Pennzoil entry of Joseph Heath. Row number 6, the PPG Shell V-Power, number 6 of Jason Miller, lining up alongside of that stunningly gorgeous Philadelphia Flyers, number 8 of Rod Eskew. I'm pretty sure the Flyers on an 8-game losing streak to close out the season. We'll call that one karma. The 15 number 15 Lucas Oil entry of Joel Campbell out of Michigan, lining up inside of row number 7. To his outside, the Homestead Coffee Tales from Rukon Schaefer Oil, number 12 of West Shire. 8th row of the grid will have the Leighton House, number 16 of Joao Moreto. Oh my goodness, I love the paint scheme. It's one of those F1 cars we'll let you get away with. To his outside, the number 13 of Mike Reiskamp, the Sahara Force India liveried car. I'm not entirely sure that one is an acceptable F1 livery. We'll let James make the call on that one. But 16 cars lining up on the grid here this evening. What do you think, James?
I would say so. I always had a big soft spot for Force India. It was always my go-to team to drive for in F1 2010, where I became a Lotus fanboy in the next game, and there on out.
You know what? That was a team that they were always kind of back of the mid-pack. So when they did something good, it was exciting. But you also knew they were just never going to have the money to get to the front. I'm saying Force India.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm like, we're out of time about those. I agree. I think Force India, it's a shame. I think Force India could have won a few more races. I'm glad they did finally get that first win with Perez in 2020, but they were such a fun team to watch for airline stuff off the outside the paddock notwithstanding.
Alexander Martin checking in. Man, I'm just not quick here, saying he's the 10 car. Well, we'll get you the comments up at least here, and we'll get your comments up too. Let us know where you're watching from. Who's your pick to win tonight? No Ted Burns, no Carter Lundy, no David Porcelli. This is a really wide open race, and quite frankly, James, I have to say beyond looking forward to it, because I think somebody is going to surprise us, whether that's Carl Lemkool, Brian LaBarge, maybe Mike Holler. Somebody from the mid-pack is going to have a pretty good run here tonight, I think.
I think so too. Someone towards the midfield is going to get a really great day, which will pay big dividends because a lot of the guys in the midfield, they're in some of the like Division 2, Division 3, so on and so forth. So a good run here might be enough to get them their division title. So this is huge championship implications for everyone, not just the front of the field.
Well, we'll let James go full Rick Allen here and have a moment.
Aggressive goes around!
Mike Holler already getting aggressive here on the pace lap, trying to get some heat in those tires. We'll see the iRacing Porsche safety car make that right-hand turn onto pit lane. Field will be under the control of Sam Karasala. He brings them down nice and clean. Everybody holding serve thus far. There we go. Green flags in the air. Oh, and Holler's into the inside wall.
Oh my lord, that didn't take long. Well, I don't like this.
Oh, they're 2 and 3 wide throughout the pack.
Dear.
Karasala grabs the early race lead. Side-by-side battle between Khan and Paddock. Oh, almost contact right there at the front as well. Wow.
Can't get any closer than that. They survived turn 1. Lord have mercy.
Everett Paddock there says, hold my beer. We can't get closer than that. He got a good run there on Mobin Khan. But now this is kind of where we talked about, James. They're going to have to settle in a little bit because if you lose the draft of those top 3, it's race over and we're not even through the first lap yet.
Yeah, but the difference with here and some of the other draft tracks is a little bit of side-by-side action will bring you back. Like, it's not a, you know, you're permanently lost the draft. Like, oh, goes around Westshire!
Westshire goes for a spin. Jason Miller goes for a spin as well. Couple of cars having issues. Oh, in trouble for Mobin Khan.
Oh, no!
Pick it up on the NRN replay. Mobin Khan running in the 4th position. Oh, just overcooks the entry a little bit. Slides it off into the gravel. And then you got to kind of just wait. Let most of the field come past. Mobin Khan giving up a ton of time. He's all the way at the back of the pack.
Yeah, as I was saying, if there's some battling, you can catch the draft a lot easier than the other draft tracks that we're used to. However, it's going to take a lot more battling for Mobin to get back up there. But we've seen it last season where Lundy and Burns had a big lead over everyone else. And they were just going tooth and nail fighting with every haymaker they had. And their 3-second gap to everyone turned into a half a second gap, just like that.
Yep, that's exactly right. And now the gap is only about 2 seconds. Back to Everett Paddock and Carl Lemkuhl. We talked about some of these names. Lemkuhl, LaBarge, potentially having good runs. Mike Holler, I don't think he got a piece of the wall. Oh, but there's contact with Alexander Martin. Yeah, that looked like potentially a little bit of non-consensual right side romance there. Let's take a look here and we'll pick up, let's see, it looks like Alexander Martin may have actually been the first car off track there. Take a look at it on the NRN replay. Holler getting a great run. Oh, and Martin just little bit of a clip, and really that's all it took. So let's take a look back at the front here. We'll show you the gap as the field works lap number 3. Karasala, Corcadilos, and Hazelworth are the cars lined up in the podium positions right now. It's another 2 seconds back to Everett Paddock in position number 4. He's opened up almost a half second over Carl Lemkuhl. Another good battle, a little deeper in the field. Mike Reiskamp and Mike Holler. Holler fighting his way back through the field after the off track. Easily able to clear Reiskamp. So right now, we're down to a situation where outside of this battle between Holler and Reiskamp, there's nobody else within a half second of each other with the exception of the top 3. Let's pick these guys up as they make their way through that final bank corner. In fact, go on board here with Ari Corcadilos. There you see him trying to chase down race leader Sam Karasala. Right behind Alexander Wesley Hazelworth sets a new fastest lap of the race. So much throttle control, and interesting, having to run the outside of the bank turn 3. You're almost like you're trying to carry momentum there instead of just looking for the outright shortest line.
Pretty much, yeah. I've gotten it to work a couple times in certain cars, but you want to get the high side because that's worth so much extra pace, and it's just a great defensive tool as well as trying to fight on the inside.
And we talk about the two banked corners here. The reality is, a little bit of a wiggle there from Hazelworth, but the reality is there's multiple corners on this racetrack that have some sort of banking to them.
Yeah, that's what I really like about this circuit. The banking is such a unique challenge. Because you're not used to dealing with bank corners at a Formula 1 race circuit. So you're not really, like, it's funny seeing the people that are around F1 trying to make heads or tails of the high bank corner, because it's nothing like you see at all overseas.
Oh, possibly some trouble for Mike Holler. Let's take a look, see what happened here to the Citizens Climate Lobby entry. They're just in the background. That was Mike Rice-Camp going off the racetrack. Oh, what a slide, what a save from Mike Holler. Wow. Save of the race candidate there from Mike Holler. We'll take a look. Also pick up the issue here for Mike Rice-Camp. See if we can catch what happened to the Force India liveried machine. Oh, just a little bit too much throttle on exit. Does a nice job keeping the car out of the barriers, though. But kind of the same deal. Unfortunately, he is just going to head to the back of the line. Leaders all behaving themselves. Let's pick up this good fight at the back. Joel Campbell, Joel Moretto, Rod Eskew, Jason Miller, all lined up nose to tail. And this race is one that it's going to go by very, very quickly. Minute and a half laps. We're already 5 laps in, 13 to go. You're not necessarily running out of time yet, but you'll get to be running out of time very quickly.
Yeah, this race is going a lot faster than you think.
Corcadillo's putting up another heater as the fast lap changes hands once again to a 28.836. And in doing so, Corcadillo's making up a bunch of ground. There we see Moretto sliding wide. A little bit of a story in lines in which way you want to go is there they get off into turn number 3. And that corner, very Dover-esque in its feel to me, where it kind of, you climb the banking and it kind of spits the car out and gets it real loose on corner exit.
Yeah, I've spun there a couple times in other cars. It just the weight transfer, how it gets the suspension to load up. If you're not careful and if you're not easy on your inputs, it will bite you. It's not forgiving.
Of note, the battle at the front has opened back up again a little bit. Carasala opening some ground on Corcadillos and Hazelworth. Something that's kind of important to note for Sam Carasala, this might not be a 4,000 SOF race, but this is still really important for him to get the win here tonight, because the way the iRacing point system works, you run a maximum of 12 races, and it keeps your best 8 finishes. So, or your best 8 weeks of the 12-week season. Where that becomes important for a guy like Sam Carasala is on a night that you might be 2nd, 3rd, or 4th behind Ted Burns, David Porcelli, whomever, you need to really capitalize on the nights that they're not in the race.
Yeah, there's a boatload of points on offer. It's not a 4K, but 3K is still one of the highest SOFs we'll get all season long. So these points that he gets from, if he can hold on to this win, huge, and could very well be the difference between second in points or winning the championship.
Well, and to that effect, Ted Burns is still the points leader. He has not run a race yet this week, sitting on 701 championship points. Sam Carasala, your race leader, second in points, has scored a race for this week already. He's sitting on 605 points. Where things, oh baby, Ari Corcadillos, big dive into turn number one.
It, and he put too much postage on that one.
Oh my goodness, James. Can we clip that? Somebody in the comments clip that, please. That might be the best line we've heard out of James Watson yet. Corcadillos trying the pass into turn number one. It was gutsy. Take a look at it here on the NRN replay. Great draft on Sam Carasala down the front stretch. Peeks the nose out, dives to the inside, but exactly like James said, a little bit too much postage on the stamp. Because not only did he not get the lead, but he fell back to the third position.
Yeah, I saw the run he had entering the corner. I'm like, wow, he surprised Sam with that move. And then I saw the little puff of smoke. I'm like, oh, he surprised himself with that move too. It's incredible that he even kept it on the track to begin with, because he was coming with a whole head of steam. The fact that he was able to keep that on the pavement and not put it in the gravel, that's huge. Because now he's still in the fight.
Yeah, and he really didn't lose all that much. He's sitting at a half-second back of Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, about the same distance that Hazelworth is behind Carasala. And now Hazelworth starting to make up a little bit of that ground into turn one as he goes new fastest lap, 28.599. And this race, that time by the start-finish line, cross flags in the air. We are halfway home here at Zandvoort. Working lap number 9. There are 9 laps remaining. I know it sounds like 18, right? That's not how racing math works. They're working lap 9, but there are still 9 laps to go. Rounding out our discussion of the points championship here, Everett Paddock sitting third at 594. Hazelworth in fourth at 476. David Porcelli not in tonight's race, only 3 weeks scored at 431. This is where you almost, I hate to say you can't look at them, but you sort of can't look at the points when you're in season until you get to the point of the drop weeks. Because David Porcelli would look at the standing screen and go, oh, I'm in 5th in points and I'm 300 points back. Except he didn't run a race. And compared to 2 of the guys ahead of him, he hasn't run 2 races. So you really have to take the numbers, especially this early in the season, with a pretty big grain of salt.
Yeah, you're not going to get a real good read on where everything is points-wise until like week 10, when a lot of the drop weeks starting to be applied and everyone's starting to catch up. So until now, you can only do like rudimentary calculations in your head.
Fantastic battles deep in the field here. Joel Campbell and Rod Eskew just up ahead of this fight between Miller, Kahn, and Moretto. As Kahn's going to get the big run down towards turn number 1. Miller drives it down deep. He's going to hold the outside line. A little bit of a twitch, and Kahn, still not able to get the pass completed. And now as quickly as Mobin Kahn's gotten around Jason Miller, he's already on the attack on Campbell and Eskew.
Yeah, he's not wasting any time.
Well, for Mobin Kahn, there's not much time left. I mean, we talked about that. A lap 1 issue, if that little spin happens with 3 to go, his race is actually over. But it happens on lap 1, you have the time to start eating little by little, eat the ground, and then you have to be really aggressive in the passing attempts.
Yeah, and Yeah, he's sure being aggressive, but thankfully nothing too crazy. Like, these are some aggressive moves, but these are still some really great and really cool moves that he's pulling off.
See what happened to Miller here. He had Campbell. Let's see. Oh, just overshot the chicane ever so slightly.
Oh, no.
Big loop. Wow. Oh, fantastic evasive driving by the line of cars back behind him. And trouble now for Ari Corcadilos.
Oh!
At the front of the field. Hazelworth and Carasala battle for the race lead. Corcadilos' little slide. Oh, and I think he may have lost the nose. It detached and kind of reattached. We may see that part disappear, but now he's going to be under attack from Everett Paddock. So there's Paddock.
You can't say he's not giving it everything he's got.
Yeah. But that's turned the battle at the front into a two-horse race between Hazelworth and Carasala. And with only 6 laps remaining, they're going to settle this amongst themselves. It's 6 seconds back to Corcadilos and Paddock. Looks like possibly some trouble for Rod Eskew as well. Joao Moretto coming down pit lane. Let's see. Let's see. Let's back this up to right here. We'll show you the NRN replay as Carasala continues to hold off Hazelworth. Mobin Khan side by side with Rod Eskew. Oh, wow, that was full on netcode there.
They just phased through each other.
Yes, they did. So then now the question becomes, what happened to Rod Eskew? That's what happened to Rod Eskew. He flat disappeared. Adios, amigos. Kind of like the Flyers' playoff chances.
Ooh.
That hurts my heart to have to say that, but yeah. Back in the front of the field, 5 to go. Carasala holding off Hazelworth. Another good fight towards the back. Campbell and Shire doing the dance here into that final corner. This is the battle for the 11th position. Shire gets the great run. Interesting that he was not able to use the draft, but he'll hold the line down easily inside into turn 1. Back at the front of the field, the gap's inside of 2/10 now. A little bit of a bobble by Hazelworth opens it back up to almost 3.5. But this is your fight for the win, and now, if you're Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, this is a big points night for Sam Carasala. This is a bigger points night for Hazelworth, quite frankly.
Yeah, like Sam is able to be a little more closer to the podium, but Hazelworth, he typically runs in the top 5. He's had a couple of bad luck races, so this will help him claw back some serious ground.
Claw back some ground, which it's funny how you say it that way because he is sitting 4th in points. But this would be big to grab that spot over Everett Paddock, potentially moving him up into the 3rd position. Although Hazelworth does have 5 weeks counted. And it's interesting because as we talk about not only the number of weeks that you run, but the number of races that you run as well. I think the number is if you run 4 or more, it takes your average. And then if you run 8 or more in a week, it takes your average of your best 4. Like, the more races you run, the more it averages out. So, Ted Burns, who's leading the championship, in 4 weeks, he has 7 starts and 6 wins. Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, in 5 weeks, has 19 starts and 7 wins. But they're coming in lower strength of field events, so Hazelworth's wins aren't worth the same as those of Ted Burns.
Correct. And this is why this performance is going to be huge for his championship hopes.
The only problem for Sam is you kind of have to just quit running the car then. That's the hard part.
Yeah, that's what has always been difficult. Like back when I was doing my off-road championships, like I just had to run 4 races and hope that you get a good enough SOF. And with those, you don't have a set SOF time. Like, it's a little easier to compete for a championship here because you have the set SOF time that everyone meets at. Plus, you have the earlier slot to use for practice, as well as maybe a couple others earlier in the week. So, as much as it would suck not to be able to run as much as you want, still get enough experience to give you a good idea on what you're going to be dealing with and what you need to do for the SOF night.
Well, and that's a great point that you make there, James, about how the community comes together. There is the unofficial Discord server. The forums are very active for this car on the iRacing side of things. It truly is a community that has formed, and if they want to change the SOF night, they'll change the SOF night, quite frankly. But it just kind of seems like this time slot, this day, it works for everybody that likes the car, and that's how we end up getting good fields, solid splits on broadcast night. It's kind of the thing where everybody wants to hang out and run together and kind of, BS a little bit before and after the races.
Yeah, and it becomes a league in that regard. You're used to all the guys sharing a track with. So you're not really having to worry about dealing with guys you're not familiar with and don't trust. A lot of us have turned thousands of laps. Oh, a little bit of lockup for Shire.
Miller may have a chance here looking up the outside. He'll get the job done.
Oh, that was a nice move.
Yes, it was. Nice pass by Jason Miller. That's going to put him up into position number 11. But now should be the white flag lap coming here very shortly for race leader Sam Carasala, holding a big advantage over Alexander Wesley Hazelworth. Ari Corcadilos holding on to third. That gap is 1.5 seconds between Corcadilos and Everett Paddock. So not a whole lot of racing going on. In fact, Jason Miller and Wes Shire, that gap is now sitting at about 3.5 tenths as well. Although I say that, and it starts to close in pretty quickly here. Let's go back to this battle. For position 11, nobody else is close to each other. Multiple seconds separating the field at this point. Shire trying to give chase. There you see the graphic change in the upper left-hand corner. Final lap, 1 circuit remaining here at Zandvoort, and it is all Sam Carasala holding a 2.9 second lead over Alexander Wesley Hazelworth. This kind of reminds me of one of those races that you see. You go to the big show and the undercard steals it. You go to the Rolex 24 at Daytona, and the best races of the weekend are going to be the Spec Miatas. The Rolex is the main event, but my God, are the Spec Miatas good. Same thing here. Formula One is the show when they come to Zandvoort. But your F2 and F3 races are going to be really, really fun to watch. long story short is get to your grandstand seat early and enjoy those races when they run, especially the Fridays and Saturdays. A blast to follow along with as we're down to the final couple of corners for race leader Sam Carasala. He'll come off the final corner, see the twin checkers, and Sam Carasala will pick up the win at Zandvoort. Alexander Wesley Hazelworth going to come home second. And Ari Korkadilos holds on for a third-place finish. Nice recovery drive for Ari. Everett Paddock coming home fourth, and Carl Lemkool will round out your top 5 finishers here this evening. Race winner, Sam Carasala, he's already gone. So is Alexander Wesley Hazelworth. Ari Korkadilos is as well. So let's see if we can pick up. Well, Carl Lemkool's going to come to a stop and pull that car off the racetrack as well. But that means results are official. Well, let's see. Let's confirm that. Actually, waiting on Joel Campbell and Mike Ricecamp to get their races finished. Campbell coming across the line, and now Ricecamp will finish as well. So results are official, and we can show you tonight's official finishing order. Sam Carasala does pick up the win tonight by nearly 3 seconds over Alexander Wesley Hazelworth. Ari Korkadilos third, as we mentioned. Everett Paddock and Carl Lemkool complete the top 5. 6 through 10 tonight, Brian Labarge, Mike Holler, Joe Heath, Mobin Khan, and Alexander Martin. A huge recovery drive for Mobin Khan back up inside the top 10. Second page of the leaderboard, we'll have Jason Miller, Wes Shire, Joel Campbell, and Mike Ricecamp finishing on the lead lap. Rod Eskew 1 lap down in the 15th position, and Joao Moretto rounding out the field 5 laps behind your race winner. Let's get the Victory Lane interviews all queued up, squared up, ready to go. And let's see. There you go. We can pick this one up. And we will bring in our race winner tonight, Mr. Sam Carasala. And Sam, congratulations on the dub here. A dominant performance out of the front of the field. The start was clean, and it really seemed like you were going to have a fight on your hands until that little bit of a bobble by Ari trying the big dive into turn 1.
Hey guys, thanks. Always happy to win. He had a big lockup when he went for that move. I think a few laps later, I also had myself a little lockup, and I was pretty fortunate that I was able to stay ahead of Alexander there. But very happy with that race. That was awesome. And, congrats to Alexander and Ari for keeping the pressure up the whole race. That was a great race. I did know that, because we raced here last year, I know that the amount of tire wear you get following other cars in the draft can get pretty significant, especially towards the end of it. So I knew that if I could just stay ahead into turn 1 on that long back straight, I would be able to keep the position for the rest of the lap. And I think as you saw with Alex's times later on, the dirty air hit him a lot worse than it did for me, tire wear wise.
Yeah, and looking ahead a little bit here, we just hit the refresh button on the championship standings, and you're not going to believe this. I'm not sure I do either. But you passed Ted Burns on the strength of tonight's win in a pretty good SOS, sitting on 706 points. But you're still second in points behind Everett Paddock, who has 742 after counting this race. It's like we talked about it during the show that it's a little bit early to be thinking about it, but putting it back to tonight's race, this is a really important win for you. Decent SOF, and it's going to be a drop week for some of those championship contenders that you're running against.
Yeah, I missed the Monza race. I had to work late that day, so I think I only got 90 or 100 points from one of the other races that week that went official. So I I like looking at the championship points, but I don't look too closely at him until after week 8, after everyone's kind of lets the drop rounds catch up. And I know Ted obviously is traveling for work, so he hasn't been racing this week either. So yeah, I'd love to be the champion, but we'll just have to see how it all plays out at the end of the season.
Well, there's a lot of names that are in contention for an overall championship here in the USF Pros. Sam's, congratulations on a dominant win tonight. Flag to flag victory here. Those are always nice. And before we let you go, get all those sponsor plugs or shout outs that you want to get in here.
As always, thanks to you guys for hosting this broadcasted race for this car, and thanks to Team Watson Racing for making a great setup.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. I appreciate you coming to hang out with us up here in the booth for just a minute. And now we're going to bring up a guy we haven't had a chance to talk to in a little bit, Mr. Alexander Wesley Hazelworth, the law firm, joining us up in the booth, and a fantastic second-place drive tonight. You had a kind of a wild view of the battle between Sam and Ari, especially that duel into turn 1. How quickly do you flip that switch from saying, I'm in third, I'm going to watch what plays out, to now I'm on the attack and I'm going to try for a win?
Basically, once I see a mistake or a lockup, that's when I sort of try it, because Sam was just really good on the banked corner in Sector 1. So if you didn't get him on the turn 1 or sort of at Sector 3, then it would have been pretty hard. So I was just waiting for those sort of mistakes.
It was interesting that Sam mentioned, drawing on his prior experience here, that the tire wear when following in the draft could turn into a factor late in the race. Was that something that you experienced trying to catch up and ultimately make a move on Sam?
Yeah, I think a little bit. But then, once you sort of heat the tires on this track, Sector 2 becomes really hard. And 3.
Yeah, putting a lot of pressure on those tires, the Cooper rubber there in the banked corners that we see here. But Alexander, congratulations on the runner-up finish. A fantastic run for you here tonight. And welcome back to the booth. I will say that. It's nice to get to talk to you again. And before we let you go, do all those sponsor plugs and shout-outs for us here.
Yeah, thank Ted for getting me a bit better at customizing the setups. So that's been a big help, because I don't know, last season when I finally just got direct drive set up, everything just sort of fell odd. But with some of his tips in the forums, it's been real good.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you much. We do appreciate you coming to hang out with us up here in the booth for a minute. And man, good show out of Alexander. Nice to get to see him up in the booth. And now let's bring in a guy I'm looking forward to this interview. Ari Korkadilos, our third place finisher tonight. Full pucker factor Zulu into turn 1 there, about the midpoint of the race. How difficult is it to adjust and not get frustrated with yourself and just settle back into turning hot laps again?
Oh, well, it wasn't exactly easy. I mean, I was pissed the entire race after losing out on that. I mean, especially that was my golden chance for first place right there. But, well, I decided, I guess, I broke too deep, and then, I locked up and just almost straight line, into the gravel. So, very fortunate that I didn't.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, that is save of the night material. I think Mike Holler might have had you beat, because he was flat sideways through the final quarter. But still, then, you're driving that kind of red mist driving, and then you immediately have to go into holding off Everett, who's been driving this car forever and is really, really experienced with it. How difficult is that, or is it just a matter of settle yourself and start turning hot laps?
Well, I mean, I saw Everett behind me. I mean, he didn't really have the pace. This race, I mean, everybody has their strong and weak tracks, right? And I mean, when I saw Everett kind of behind me, I wasn't exactly stressing. I was more just stressing about trying to catch the leaders again. I mean, it was a huge gap, but I was still that was still kind of the goal. I wasn't paying too much attention to Everett.
Well, it's funny that you say that because he was always one of those guys that, even going back to the days when Greg Seitz was absolutely annihilating everybody in this car, Everett has been really, really fast, and you're proving to be one of those guys that's super quick here as well. Ari, congratulations on the podium, and before we let you go, give us all those sponsor plugs and shout-outs.
Well, I mean, I'd like to thank Mobin Khan. You know, me and him were in a call together. We were, you know, it sucks what happened to him at the start. I'd like to thank, who else is there? I'd like to thank you guys, of course, for doing the broadcast race. You know, commentary is always good. It's always fun to go back and watch it. And I'd like to thank iRacing for giving me good ping.
Oh, that's awesome. Ari, thank you very much. We appreciate the check-in there. Yes. Sometimes the connection to from Canada to Massachusetts is not always the greatest, but tonight Ari able to benefit from that. I'll tell you what, James, we'll go back to the live scenic views here around Circuit Zandvoort and get ready to wrap this thing up. I was really impressed with this show tonight because we were talking about it before we came on the air. When you know you're not going to have some of the big names, you kind of go, you don't really know what you're going to get. We got everything we could have hoped for and maybe a little bit more. Great battle at the front, great battles throughout the field, and quite frankly, everything that makes the PM18 and the USFPRO community what it is.
Yeah, why we didn't have Ted, we still had a lot of top tier talent in this race. So we were never in true danger of having a race that wasn't entertaining. Like, we're able to see what was a really interesting drive from top to bottom for everyone. You know, it was a clean drive from Sam Carasala, like not even a wheel wrong. And we saw some great attempts by Ari to make some sparks happen, and some great saves. Just a lot of great driving skills shown by everyone. And
yeah, I really agree with you. Quite frankly, a fantastic show tonight out of these guys. We're going to get another one next week, but we'll tell you about that one in just a moment. This weekend, the Vintage IMSA Series running the Road America 500. If you don't have the cars, get them. The Audi 90 and the Nissan GTP. That GTP car might be one of my favorites on the entire service. So much turbo lag. You're at full... It'll spin the wheels in fourth gear, no problem. But you got to wait for the turbo to kick in. And once it does, it is like taking off in a rocket. It is absolutely incredible. And they're going to run up at Road America, just one of the best circuits on the platform. Also this weekend, waiting on confirmation from series organizers, but the Spec Corvette Series is at Buttonwillow Raceway out in California. If the cell phone signal is good enough at the racetrack, we will be on the air Saturday and Sunday afternoon with the Spec Corvettes. Coming up next week on the iRacing platform, it'll be the Silver Crowns from Nashville Superspeedway on Monday night. That race will air 9:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Tuesday night, another doubleheader. The sprint cars visiting Lanier National Speedway. That is pavement sprint cars. 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, followed by the TNT Shock Series running the Nashville Fairgrounds. These PM18 machines around the fairgrounds, love that racetrack and car combination. And then 1 week from tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, the USFPRO Championship will visit the streets of Long Beach. A circuit, I would say, James, that it's not too dissimilar to this one. A little bit of drafting zones, a whole lot of technical, and not a lot of places to attempt a pass.
yeah, it's really going to be a track position game, you know, maximizing qualifying and making sure that you just don't make any mistakes out there. Or like we saw... it was a great battle between Ari and Sam until Ari made a few mistakes that just took him out of contention. So if you want to be able to take the win next week, you got to make sure that you avoid those critical mistakes.
You could not be more right on that one, brother. But with that, it's time for us to get the heck on out of here. As always, a fantastic show out of Mr. James Watson. We are going to clip that little segment there. Lick the stamp and Little too much postage. I love it. James, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming to hang out with us here, and all of you watching the broadcast at home as well. Thank you so much for spending part of your Thursday night with us. For James Watson and everybody else here at the National Racing Network that helps us get these shows on the air, my name is Chris Graham. Thank you so much for coming to hang out with us, and we'll talk to you all soon. Have a great night, everybody.